If you haven't been paying attention, is that TikTok and its servers and everything, they believe are in China being snooped by the PRC. And so consequently, there's a lot of concern about that. Like, is data on other parts of your phone getting accessed, sniffed, or stolen, or just recorded in terms of privacy, building a fingerprint and a profile on you on servers overseas? It can be used for more than just, as Facebook would say, just marketing and retargeting. That's all we're doing. That's the Facebook side of it. But there's a little bit more nefarious possibilities going on offshore over in China. But nonetheless, so eventually enough senators and congressmen, and I don't mean just Republicans, or as Democrats too, tell him, you need to get your butt to Washington, we're gonna ask you some questions. And so he seemed pretty well prepared, but it kind of felt like he was a little flustered at times. He was looking through things, seemed like he was scripted, but these were skilled grillers. And I'm not talking about people doing barbecue in Texas. Those senators and congressmen are skilled grillers. And so here he was at a congressional hearing getting grilled. And after his day of testimony, as a matter of fact, can you find that on my Twitter? My Twitter, last night I ran a poll. So let's see if we can pull this up. And it was a poll I ran on, you can just go to my Twitter and go to a couple things I posted last night on what I think happened. But what was very interesting is the news coverage of the hearing seemed to indicate that there was some real thoughts about what had happened here and whether it made it, yeah, that's it right there. Oops, no. Why isn't it letting? Why you click on it? Not gonna let you go in there?
I'll have to sign in. I don't have a Twitter.
All right, well, let's sign in and then we'll pop that up. But anyway, there's a lot of news out there that was saying, hey, let's just say you believe there is a 50-50 chance, because half the people saying, no, it's free speech, it's an app, don't worry about it. That's AOC. AOC runs out and says, oh, we can't take the risk of taking down, an app like this. What are you talking about? You wanted to take down Truth Social. You wanted to take down Parler, right? The conservative one a year ago. So, what's going on with all this? But they seem to be saying that the CEO may have made it a little bit worse, because there were some Democrats on there that got very pointed at him. This is, why can't you tell us you don't understand how the data is accessed and stored? Why can't you tell us this? The reason you can't is because it's exactly what you're doing. It's exactly what's going on. So the news coverage was running with the, maybe it's getting a little worse. And as soon as we get the poll up here, we'll talk to you. But there was also this other voice and said, well, the Biden administration, well, let's just see if we can get TikTok sold to somebody else. And so, wait a minute, if it gets sold to somebody else, but the servers, all technology and the team, everything are still over there in China, how does that change the fact that we're all very worried about it? And how does it change the fact that everybody is wondering if their kids and any adults that have TikTok on their phone, that it's not in there sniffing your phone? How do you sort of erase the whiteboard and go back to zero on that and say, okay, now it's good? Well, the answer is you got to shut it off. You've got colleges and the U.S. government that if you are on campus at certain colleges using their Wi-Fi, like in student union, library, classrooms, they prohibit access of TikTok on those particular subnets. And then you go to the U.S. government, there's government buildings, and government has said, and state government buildings that are saying, you may not access TikTok in the Wi-Fi or the network that's here. They're also blocking that. So there's an awful lot of blocking going on for people to be saying nothing to see here. And there's a small group like AOC saying nothing to see here. I think there's a lot to see here, and that's why none of my kids are on TikTok. I've dissuaded my niece and nephew from being on TikTok, and just say, hey, if it's out there really sniffing, you don't want to be there. So let's go see here. That's it. Just click on that. There we go. Just to see if we can put that on screen. Tell me when we're there. Are we up?
Okay, let me know when it's there.
3, 2, 1.
It's up.
Okay, so you can see, so we had 174 votes, unscientific BizDoc poll from last night. And the choices I gave them was 33% said, it's still 50-50. Lots of talk, even though he didn't look so good in front of Congress. Then the next group here was, the odds have dropped under 50%, was about 17%. But interesting, 30%, 33% thought that the odds have now jumped over 50% they'll be banned. Now near 100%, actually 15% believe that. So you have got 48% believe that the odds are now over 50% or near certainty. And that kind of lines up. But I think you should take a look at this, and there's a lesson in here, is that some social media is not so good, like TikTok, and isn't really applicable necessarily for all forms of marketing. But I want to use this and kind of transition here into a comment, is that not all social media is applicable and good for your business and good for your kids. And in this case, I think you can see not so good things can happen with it. But if you're using social media for your business, here's my message. Don't worry about TikTok. Don't worry about that at all. It skews Generation Z. If you're selling products to them, then you do need to think about that. But a lot of people here, entrepreneurs and such, maybe you're thinking about, okay, this brings up social media. What should I be doing? LinkedIn ads, the business tools are said to work pretty good, especially B2B, and especially recruitment. And I read an article this weekend. I wish I grabbed the clip, the link to it. We could have put it up. But it talked about that people think of LinkedIn as white collar. No, there's people up there that says, hey, I'm a film editor, or hey, I'm a production manager. And by the way, we're looking for a production manager at Valuetainment. If that's you, go check us out on LinkedIn. And a lot of great jobs that are out there, contract jobs, arts jobs, that people are seeing through LinkedIn, and that not just posting the job, but that a well-crafted business page. So I ran a quick little tally, and I texted a couple folks from early stage businesses last night, and I asked them, hey, because I'm an investor in one of them, and the score was 1-to-1, so unscientific. One did not have a LinkedIn business page. The other did have a LinkedIn business page on LinkedIn, but both of them are using LinkedIn for recruitment, and actually had jobs posted, which was sort of interesting. So you see that works well. Facebook has got good business tools, and actually Facebook for creators, there's a lot of tools on there where creators are getting paid even better. And Instagram, I've read, is that it gives you likes and it gives you reach, but the actionableness of it is if you're really selling something. So if you've got you're selling digital goods, or you're selling things and you've got influencers that show it on there and they can link back now to your website where you can have an e-commerce sale, that's strong. And which brings us to Twitter. And I know Twitter's a bit of a hot button lately, but Twitter has a surprising element that, again, in my unscientific outreach, I found, and that was this. Do you know Twitter is fantastic for instant customer service? I've used it. If you go back in my Twitter and go look back 3 years, a couple times I've used it with American Airlines. I'm sitting on this flight, this is what you've said, this is what you've done, and I'm executive platinum on American Airlines. I've been executive platinum for 3 years. I had a gap there right around the early phase of COVID, but the rest of the time I've traveled a lot and I've been executive platinum. And so I reached out and said, hey, I'm executive platinum, this is what happened on this flight. And I got a response. And so I got Wi-Fi in the sky because I had logged in up there. And I got a response from American Airlines. Hey, sorry about that. So guess what? They were watching for @American Airlines, and it wasn't just like @American Airlines customer service. I just tagged @American Airlines. And Patrick also has done some of that. As a matter of fact, I've seen Patrick on just a common product where something wasn't perfect or something we needed to contact somebody for customer service. He reaches out on Twitter and he actually got response. Not because he's Patrick Bet-David. Once they find out he's Patrick Bet-David, I'm sure they don't want him to say anything negative because he's got millions and millions of social media followers that are not just followers, are paying attention every day. And he gets a response. Hey, whoa, sorry, let's reach out to this email immediately, or this, or here's the phone number, support number. And so, I think social media over the last, month, I've been seeing a lot of hits happening on social media, but I think you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater just because TikTok is like the worst of social media. And yes, we're seeing articles about Facebook, and especially young teenage girls going through ultra comparative and ultra competition for comparative, and we all know what that means, is they're comparing themselves to classmates. It gets ultra competitive, and they're feeling depressed that they're not this or not that. And actually, hats off to Dove Soap, who's run ads talking about safe, sane use of social media. So all of that has been out, and there's been a lot of negativity on it, but I just thought it was important to kind of point out that you still need to have a social media plan. And I think if you're an entrepreneur out there and you're not trying to put your voice and news on Twitter and then being alert on Twitter if someone reaches out on a customer service issue, and it could be Patrick Bet-David, and you're not using LinkedIn for recruiting, and then if you're able to sell e-commerce and digital goods, you're not using Facebook and Instagram in that way, well then you need a new strategy. And it may not be your nephew because he's so good with all the social media stuff that's going on. It may be you need to get a digital media agency, and not one that says, oh, we're gonna update your website, we're gonna do all this, but someone that knows how to bridge from social media back to commerce. And I was really kind of surprised with my unscientific work over the weekend on how few companies were out there. So that's my 2 cents on all this, starting with, if that CEO, Kellyanne from TikTok, after that terrible set of hearings, if he ends up in a Chinese labor camp, we know what happened.
Oh gosh.
He says he got home and they're like, you did terrible, off you go.